Hi there, this is my channel, Jaru Walks. In the year 2024, I will embark on an epic walking journey across the United States. My plan is to walk 8,000 miles across the US 3 times, via the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. In the hiking world, this is known as a calendar year Triple Crown, and has only been completed by a handful of people in history. I plan to post weekly updates along the way, so you can join me for the journey. So I'm experimenting with waking up early this morning. I'm pretty sure last night, sometime maybe after midnight, I saw a hammock set up right there in the moonlight. And then I woke up at 5:20 and then it wasn't there. Which left me wondering, did I really see that, or did I see like these beams looking like a hammock in the moonlight? Was it a mirage? I think I actually saw a hammock.
When I would talk about waking up in the morning, oh my God, and seeing, like, waking up on the Arizona Trail and feeling miserable in the morning, but then every single morning within 30 minutes of hiking, just the act of walking and seeing the beauty of Arizona, to me, I'm romanticizing, but it healed the headache. And every day, man, as soon as you're up within 30 minutes, felt amazing. And part of the battle of the AT has been more endurance and pushing through pain and monotony. But I'm going to contrast that now with being in Vermont. It's so stunningly beautiful up here. I feel now like how I did on the Arizona Trail. At least this morning, I felt that way. And running through the woods, the magic of the woods up there last night, that's a different experience from the Arizona Trail. That's just the magic of the upper Northeast. But this is different. This feels good. Okay, man, those last two hills that I just climbed were two of the steepest grades I've ever climbed before. Somewhere around 1,200 to I think 1,300 feet per mile. A typical steep climb would be like 700, 800, at least for me. The plan for the rest of today is I gotta hike about 6 miles along a relatively flat portion. And then it's a climb a couple of miles up to a 4,000 foot elevation mountain. So the last 2 or 3 peaks that I summited were around 3,600, I think, feet of elevation. So going even higher this time. And I guess we'll see how it looks once I get up there. But I'm trying to make bigger miles today. So I gotta make it up there, over the flat top, and then back down the other side, because ideally I don't want to sleep on top of that tonight. What I've noticed is when you're hiking these mountains later in the night, the snow's kind of more frozen and easier to walk across. So ideally I'd like to try the summits for, 9 or 10 o'clock p.m. So that I can get up and over, more quickly. So we'll see how it goes tonight, but that's the plan. Hanging out in this cool, kind of dirty old shelter. And in 10 minutes, once I eat a little bit of food, I am going to start my climb up the 4,000 foot mountain. I forget what its name is, but I'll put it in text in the bottom. It's going to be a hard night. In the Smokies, I was following Mr. Bobcat. And in the Green Mountains, I'm following Mr. Moose. He likes to take the trail. It's nice to have his footsteps, because I can just follow his footsteps instead of reading the white blazes. I'm glad this moose can read the white blazes better than I can. It's like performing foot surgery, where the surgery is performed with my feet. There's no way I can film this as I do this. The white blaze is at my knee level. So the snow in this mountain's a lot deeper than the snow in the other mountain. I'm guessing it's like 3 to 4 to 5 feet deep. But because there's not an active storm happening, it's less scary than last night. So that's the good news. And we're approaching the peak now. Check this out. I want you to see how low the white blaze is from this tree. That shows you how deep the snow is. Watch. Wow. You can see it compared to my knee. Maybe an inch or two above my knee. I must say I'm in total awe of Aquaman right now. He's the most recent person to do a winter southbound of the Appalachian Trail. Just the idea of doing this roughly in January or February when the snow's falling is horrifying. This is already honestly kind of scary as I'm doing it. I'm just saying, hats off to Aquaman. There are some sections back there I wasn't really filming where the trail is very difficult to follow. The trees are bowed over and the white blazes are blocked out. So you kind of got to hunt around. That's where it gets sketchy and kind of scary. I know I could always turn back, but... Okay, I'm recording a quick video. So I spent the night at the shelter back here, Killington Shelter, which I'm very thankful that it's there. I'm at the peak of Killington Mountain in Vermont. And coming in last night, man, the weather was perfect, but man, it felt sketchy. It reminded me of trying to go up Katahdin on a not very well blazed trail. So a lot of the trees had snow in them and were bent over, and they would bend over sometimes in front of the white blazes. And so you'd have to skip 2 or 3 white blazes occasionally. Not skip, but you just couldn't see them. And I'm not sure if you can see way back there, the trail was zigzagging a lot, and due to the weight of snow on trees, occasionally like a blaze would be like not visible because a tree had bent down in front of it, or you'd have blowdowns that clear off sections of the trail where you can't see where it goes. And so, yeah, navigating through the mountain last night for the last, I would say, hour and a half was pretty sketchy. And then I get here in the middle of the night. You have to imagine it's like nighttime, a little spookier. And I see this sign. You gotta imagine you're on the peak of a mountain. There's nobody up here with you. It says, the mountains will be just as cold and lonely tonight as they were 200 years ago. Point of no return. Meaning that way. And if you look at this sign, it says LT-18 north, that way. That's my trail. So I was thinking initially last night I'll continue on to the next shelter, but after the sketchiness of the trail, the gratefulness of this shelter, I decided to just spend the night here and reassess in the morning in the daylight. And something that I noticed is there's a million more footprints coming up the trail this way, because there's two towns down here, and I think locals hike their way up and back down. So it's just much better foot traffic. And so I actually feel better about continuing forward as of this morning. I'll talk more about it maybe later, but second guessing the decision to continue here. But I think based on what I experienced last night and seeing the condition of this trail and talking to some French hiker came up this morning, discussed conditions with him. He said it was fairly well marked. And in about an hour and a half, the iciness goes away. So I'm planning to continue down the mountain, but definitely just kind of maybe the first spooky moment on trail so far. So anyway, yeah, maybe I'll share more about it later, but for now I'll just keep hiking. But looking forward to getting into town and having breakfast. And this is marked off, but it's marked off for the ski resort, to be clear. I'm not like trespassing some ranger thing. It says in the shelter that this is the no-go zone for skiers for the ski resort. Last night I didn't know that though, so it made it a little spookier. Anyway, I'm gonna keep moving down the trail, and yeah, maybe I'll see you in Killian next. So I was saying before on this trail, one of my goals for the County of Triple Crown, or motivations, is to truly test the limits of what I'm capable of. And there's such a thing as a physical limit. And for the last 2 days, I did back-to-back 30s, I think. I'll have to double-check the mileage. Which is, I mean, that is just so far beyond. I don't know where I was when I started, like on the Arizona Trail. I'm really proud of that accomplishment. And I will say that, man, on Mount Bromley and here on Mount Killian, it's a mental limit that's being tested. And again, you're riding the line between, am I being reckless? Because if you decide to be reckless and just bulldoze ahead, in my opinion, you're failing a mental limit. Or I am, you know. When I say you, I mean me. On the other hand, if you get up close to something that's close to being dangerous and is extremely intimidating and even puts fear in your heart, which is, I was experiencing a little bit on Bromley and a little bit on Killian last night, to then, I don't know, take a breath, let the panic juices seep out, get out of your system, and look at it with a clear mind again. That's kind of like, to me, riding the mental edge. And I'm sure someone else could have hiked over that mountain last night and been like, boom, 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 boom. You know, I've seen this a million times before. And that's a lot of what it is having seen it before. But I mostly haven't seen that before. And so, you know, that was a moment where my emotions were finding that edge, which is, I don't know, I feel like I've traveled a lot and seen a lot of different things and stuff, and I don't really hit that often, but I hit it last night and this morning. So but that's what I'm out here for. to an extent to find those limits and see if they can be broadened in a safe and not idiotic, reckless manner. And I accomplished that this morning. So I'm genuinely proud of back-to-back 30s, which for me is a big deal. And, you know, for getting the whammy to the nose last night, considering backing out on the mountain and contemplating hopping over to the PCT. I was genuinely contemplating that last night and this morning. I was actually leaning towards doing that. And I'm proud of myself for the fact that I was willing to do that. I thought that was actually what I was going to do this morning. But when I got to the trail and I looked down and I saw a million more footpaths on the side of the mountain that I'm going down now, the north side, even though it's snowier, the trail is a million times clearer and easier. And so that enabled me to continue, you know. It wasn't until I saw that I decided against backing out and going the same way down the mountain I just came up, which would be 7 miles down and through the hard to navigate section, even in the daylight, the other way. You know what I mean? If you saw it one way, going back the other way is a whole nother kettle of fish. Everything looks different. So anyway, just kind of almost like journal style documenting, even to myself, like what just happened. And even as I'm saying right now, here I am on it. That just happened right here. Let me just show you. It's the first time I hit dirt trail this morning. I went from snow back to earth. Snow, earth. Anyway, more to share, but I guess I'll keep cranking. So I was cruising down this trail and I can hear some road over there. One of those trucks was doing I think it's called the Jake brake. And normally on the AT, that sound would make me like frustrated because it reminds me of society. But again, who am I? It's like, I'm part of society, you know, I get it. It's a dumb thought, but anyway, nonetheless, I feel it. And the reason I'm filming this right now is because coming into this road up here, I'm happy because the top of that mountain that I just went over last night was so freaking scary. It's just nice to be around humans again. That's not, yeah, no BS. Tucker. Oh, good boy.
Joys of hiking is that you can eat whatever you want, but another joy of hiking is that everything you eat tastes like 3 times better than it would. So what's especially great is when you're eating food while hiking and the food is actually phenomenal food. This roadside chili, I asked them for their daily specials what's the most popular, and the guy just without blinking said the chili by far. And I just had some. It's phenomenal. And it comes with this toasted ciabatta roll with butter, and I have a giant bag of chips there as well, a Dr. Pepper. And then the roast beef sandwich over here looks absolutely killer. And so I'm just so excited to eat this. Oh my God, so nice.
I was looking for somewhere to eat breakfast. I hadn't eaten it yet because I had a big dinner last night. Sometimes you just gotta pause to soak it in. I can't tell if that's a real goose or not. Should be honking at me. Oh, that's real. I told you something was wrong with that goose. I don't remember who or where, but I was talking to a local, I think back here at the convenience store, about the mountains just south of Killington, like these 3 mountains. And the guy I was talking to was telling me that the Native Americans viewed these mountains back here as cursed mountains, that if they're in a bad mood can take your life. And like there's allegedly like a rock that if you step on it, you get sucked into it. And so they're just saying like these mountains have a powerful, strange energy. And it's just interesting because as I was hiking through, I think I recorded a video on it a couple of days ago of how these mountains have a powerful energy to me. It doesn't feel like other mountains that I've come through. I won't compare them to the ones in Colorado, but so far on the Appalachian Trail, definitely the Smokies had a presence to them, but these mountains felt just a little more ferocious. Like they're not as big as the Smokies Mountains, I think, but they had a ferocity to them. You know, you could sense like it's like a giant or a monster that was sleeping the nights that I came through. It was gentle to me, but I could feel a strange energy. And then anyway, the guy was saying that the native tribe who lived here before Western settlers stole their land, we stole their land. I know that's annoying to some people to hear me say that, and it doesn't change anything when I say that, but like, I don't know, like it's true, you know, whatever, not whatever, but apparently they said that. And so I don't know if they did say that or not. That's what I'm saying. It's word of mouth. It could just be a farmer's tale, but if it is true, I feel like I sensed what they were talking about as I went through there, and I made a note of it. So So I got lost about 50 feet off trail, and I started walking in the right direction. This is so hard to navigate. This is the trail, I think. It's so overgrown in leaves. And so this section of the trail, I'm complaining, it's okay. It's like the fact that there's any trail maintenance at all is amazing. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but like there's no trail maintenance. There's clearly very little trail maintenance on this section in Vermont. Like that white blaze is really clear. Now I'm back on the trail, I can see. But like for the last, I would say 12 miles, it's like the majority of the white blazes are poorly done, spread out. And the paint is so faded that they may not have been painted in the last maybe decade. It's just very surprising. It's one of the, I don't know, I would think Vermont would take better care of the AT. I feel like the state has a pretty like good reputation on some level, particularly for the wilderness. And I just would imagine that the AT, like, and I mean like things like blowdowns and like the white blazing, like I'm not even saying like the leaves, I get it, like it's early in the season, there's no one out here to maintain it, you know, or even if there's nobody at all, I'm not complaining, but it's surprising that the white blazing is done so sparsely out here, and that it, like, if you didn't have GPS mapping, how actually dangerous this would be hiking out here. Vermont is a fascinating state. When you go to the grocery store and you buy like milk or eggs or bacon, and then the packaging shows the farm that the food came from, I imagine that they came out to Vermont to snap photos of farms, because Everywhere you walk in Vermont, you have these like farm homesteads that just look picturesque, like from a milk carton. Man, I wish you could smell what I could smell right now. The view doesn't even have to be pretty when the aroma is so pretty. It's like pine spice and like fall leaves, but like faint, you know, not that overwhelming fall leaf smell. And wet, just moist and clean. And just plants, like every plant. I really think that like perfumes and colognes were designed by people who walked in nature, in the desert, in the woods. You notice a lot of men's colognes are like desert spice or forest spice. That's what this aroma is, but it's even better. No one's ever captured this. I remember there was a day where I was hiking in the Sonoran Desert on the Arizona Trail. Hadn't rained there in months, and it downpoured for a night. I went out the next morning and hiked, and the whole desert, the smells. Wow, there's a smell right there. It's that tree. Look at this broken tree. I smelled it. That's how strong the smell is. When the water hits it and evaporates, it's like you're a dog. You can smell everything. But anyway, I was on the Arizona Trail in the desert. Rained. Man, there it is again. And it brought the smell to life. Like, there's certain smells that are just potent, powerful smells. Like, if you build your own beehive and it has the beeswax that comes with it on the racks, that is such a smell with character. Or like a wine cask that had wine in it once and you can smell it. The wood, the smell of the wine on the wood, you know, that's, you know, soaked in over decades. That's a smell with character. I'm just trying to pick real world smells that maybe mirror what I'm smelling right now, but those are just like, maybe those are on par. But this is like many different aromas at once, and it smells so, oh my God, look at that view. So good. I'm actually have to cut the camera to the other side so you can see it.